Hey, hello everybody. How's it going? Hope you all are having a great day. I am so excited to be back for our part two of the mobile development track. I hope you all had a great time playing Cup Stacking with Elizabeth. And we can get started with some coding now with the break that you all have had. I'm also sharing check-in and registration link on the comments in case any of you missed registering or checking in for the events. Make sure to do that. Yeah, such an exciting day to start beginning our track two for this event. How's the energy level with all of you? How are you feeling? How many of you are here for the first time for the track two and were not there for the first track of the event? Let's hear something in the comments, folks. And meanwhile, I'll catch all of you up with what we've been doing. So let me get started with sharing my screen. Okay, so we basically started designing this application for language learning, pure language learning with people across different parts of the world. And we did like a basic design prototype here, and we started developing the app using Flutter. So we built very, very minor basic stuff. You can get yourself started with installing Flutter, and you can jump right in here because there's not much we did last time, and we'll be covering a lot of chunk today. So don't worry if you missed out on anything in the last stream. You're all covered for get started today. Okay, so great to see that we're excited and for the part two of mobile development. Really good stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to manage most of the things that we designed so quickly on Figma. Let's try to bring it to life using code as well. So we are first starting with this screen, which is going to be our home screen once we're done with the registration, of the login, of the sign up, whatever. So we'll start developing. So last time what we did is we developed this very simple card right here with an image, name, and languages that people are fluent with. Now today what we're going to do is let's build a bottom navigation bar for it, and let's see how that goes on in Flutter. So I hope all of you are ready and excited to get started with this, because I can't wait to code right here. So yes, let us get started, and let's see first how we will go ahead with doing like a bottom navigation. So bottom navigation is like a whole so what we can do actually with Flutter, again, very cool things that are already inbuilt here, is I can just write bottom navigation bar and then give it an element which is a bottom navigation bar, right? So first let's go ahead and create this component which is going to be our navigation bar. So let's quickly create like a new file, which is bottom navigation bar dot. Okay. Now here we know like a couple of things. The first of all, it's going to be a stateful widget. So very quick way of creating a stateful widget is you just write this and it gives you like a basic skeleton of a stateful widget here. Very helpful again. So bottom navigation bar, we say it right here, and we've got ourselves all the stuff. We should never forget to import the main line, which is the material library from Flutter, so that we can have all our pretty components right there with us. Okay, so what are the things that we'll be needing with it are mostly going to be, okay, let's start building this. So we keep an index of what the selected index is in our navigation, and the default would obviously be 0. And then we first let's go ahead and create like this widget for ourselves, which is actually going to be the navigation bar, and then we can build all of the more interesting stuff inside of it. So let's say this returns a bottom navigation bar, and inside the navigation bar, we need a couple of things. Let's say we have the items, and the items are going to be basically all the things that are displayed in the navigation bar itself. So it's mostly going to be like 3 icons and stuff like that. So we can do that by saying that this is a bottom navigation bar item. right here. And then we go ahead and create like an array for ourselves. And inside here, we say, okay, we have a bottom navigation bar item, and inside of that we want to give it an icon. So here very easily we can just call like icon, and inside of here we can use icons on dot and then give it one of the icons. So let's see what we want to use here. Here we have like a group icon. This is where we look for people. So maybe we have an icon that's probably called people. Okay, let's rely on Android Studio filling stuff up for us. So no person, users, no group. Okay, let's check Flutter's icon, and maybe let's try to search from there. So we have our icons class, and it's going to have a list of stuff that we can basically use from there. Hopefully, all the, yeah. So here we have all the different values that we can have, and let's try to look for some sort of people that we can say. Okay, the different ads. Oh, this is a nightmare to search from. Okay, nope, nope, nope. So all of these stuff that we don't need. Let's try to search. Sorry, here something like user. Okay, we have a user circle. Supervisor account looks very much like a group, so let's just use supervisor account rounded. So here, let's go, and again, I would love the help of Android Studio here, which it refuses to give me. So never mind, supervisor account rounded. We are more than capable of typing it by ourselves. Okay, so there is some error that it seems to have. Const modifiers, of course. And I'm guessing const modifiers here again. I'll probably no, doesn't need one here. Okay, so we have one navigation item. Apologies about that. It just went push back, and before you know, you Mac has thrown you out of the stream. Okay, coming back here again. So now we have one item here, and let's look at the other items. So we obviously need an icon, and we might also want to put some sort of label. So we might want to call it something like users. And again, we build another item because we have 3 items with us. This time we can go ahead and see that it's like a chat thing. So let's hope that we have something for messages. Okay, we have a message. So let's stick with the rounded ones, and we go for a message rounded. Okay, so icon, and here we go for a message rounded. And call it chats or messages or something. Technically, it could be lessons because that's where you're learning different languages. Then again, we have another item, and again, we need an account icon for it, I'm guessing. Let's see. Or we use something like analytics. So let's just use analytics rounded. Analytics rounded, and the label that we want to give it is probably progress. So there we go, all our stuff here, but it can't find analytics rounded. Interesting. It's not because of analytics rounded, it's because of the S missing in the icons there. Okay, so there we go. We have all our items here, but the items field is still not happy with us. Because it can't find the field items in bottom navigation bar, which is quite interesting to see because that shouldn't be the case. Anyway, okay, let's see what the matter here could be. this field clearly does exist, or let's go back to the documentation and recheck that. So let's search in the API docs. We have bottom navigation bar. Okay. Not the best search here. Nope. Okay. Let's check here, bottom navigation bar. Here we go. The documentation here specifies that we use it in this way. Okay. So here it adds a bar and it gives it an item. Very well, exactly what we've been trying to do. Maybe when we're trying to separate it, it's not the most clean way of separating it. And maybe we have to wrap it under something to make it. Yes, probably that's the case. No, it wants us to add a const modifier, which is not the error here. So let's see. Nope, nope, all good there. What else could the matter be? Flutter, why are you not letting us do this? Okay, so maybe let's forget about streamlining stuff for a bit and let's go back to our main page and see if it lets us add, our home page. Let's see if it lets us add it there. So we have a bottom navigation bar and voila. Then we do a const here and nope. That's not what was missing. What is it missing here? Maybe this needs to be a const, yes. Okay, perfect. So it seems like it's probably the error of wrapping it incorrectly. So we can sort that out in a second. But first, let's try to get our bottom navigation running. Since we don't need this increment counter anymore, we can get rid of it. Both of these are not needed. And we have our selected index right here. So we also don't need the floating action button anymore since that's, yes. So we get rid of that, and we got ourselves a navigation bar. Now let's go and see if it actually comes up. Okay, some coding error we have here for us. Okay, bottom navigation bar. Obviously, we can't just leave this file like this, else it won't compile. And do we have an error here? Apart from the fact that it's never been used. Nope. Okay, so coming to the terminal, let's reload it. It still expects us to do something that we're not doing. So 36. Okay, that's an extra semicolon. Perfect, then that should be about it. Yes. Okay. So now, like we can see, we have our users, charge, progress, but as you can see, if we tap on it, nothing really happens, right? So we want that to change and we want stuff to happen here. So let's make that happen. First of all, we'll start with, again, like the most basic, super simple stuff that we can do, and then we'll start leveling up from there. So we first say the current index needs to be our selected index, and then we want to say what happens when the item actually gets tapped. So let's create a function here that's going to handle what happens when an item is getting tapped. So let's say on item tabbed, yeah, we give it an index. Yep, and we say that selected index needs to be the index. Yes, that we provided it right here. And hopefully, yes, there are no errors here. And so again, we can go here and be like on tap, we want to say on item tapped. Right? So now we have ourselves a basic function, but it's changing indexes, but again, it's not really doing anything because we're not changing the pages anyhow right now. So, hey, hi, how's it going? So are you guys able to follow along so far? Is it going okay? Are you all making any progress on your projects here? Let me know. And I'll keep going with trying to get our navigation to actually change pages. Yep, and I'll try to keep an eye out for anything that you folks say. All right. So now here we can create a similar array of pages like we have of all the items here. So let's go ahead and create something that's going to be a static variable because we don't really want it to change at all. And yeah, so it's like a list of widgets. And we will call this pages as is appropriate. And let's create an array of widgets straight up here. So here we can actually put in our 3 pages that we create. But since we don't have any pages right now, let's just put like plain text. So text is users, text is chats, and then text is progress. Yep. Okay, so that's about that. And yes, so we have ourselves a list of the pages. And then what we can say is that the body, it actually changes based on, well, the selected index. So we can just remove all of this. And actually, sorry. We can actually just remove this and be like, you know what, take pages and take the selected index. So selected index and display that here, please. And that should have been it, but we need to wrap this around widgets because children is always an array and we can't really ignore that. Okay, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. Cannot be assigned to the parameter list widget, which is fair, but okay, so let's see how we can get this to budge. Okay, nope. Oh, sorry, it's not widgets, it's widget. And here must be okay. Perfect. So this is not a constant, so we didn't need a const variable there. And this should now, let's hope that there are some changes that happen on the screen. So right now we're in users, then we go to chats. On tabbed is not working, but okay, we will make it work. So on item tabbed should have, yeah, we should be able to change our, okay. There was a typo here somewhere. Because this is not the keyword that's getting used. So what? Okay, sometimes it's very hard to track these typos. Probably there is no typo. Oh, there is a typo. Yes, here we go. Okay. And voila, we can now switch between our 3 screens, 3 different pages. Now what we can do is now we can go ahead and create these 3 screens for ourselves so that we can actually further develop more content for ourselves. So we have our 3 pages, which is users. This is where we'll put our cards and everything. And then we have our other screens, which are going to be chats. And then let's have another, which is going to be progress. Okay, now all we need to do is we need to create these stateful widgets. So let's start one at a time. Users screen, and let's import our favorite package there, sorry, which is the Flutter material. And yep, there we go. There we have our first screen. Okay, sorry. So reading through comments, I'm going to keep trying to come in here every 5-10 minutes and see. I am so glad that this is sort of like, I hope it's going to help you out. I'm trying to keep it super slow. I've also worked on Flutter like a few hackathons ago, so things are a little blurry. So you'll probably find me going at a very slow and calm pace. So that might help you all. Yeah, so really glad to hear that. Okay, so now then here we are at a user screen, and let's try to build some stuff here. So first of all, yeah, we have ourselves a stateful widget, and let's do like the most basic stuff like we've been doing. Let's just put like a text here which says user, so that we can just try to see if this can replace the current text that we have. So we replace this users with our users screen, right? And just make sure that this refactoring is working, and then we can go ahead and start working on our user screen. Okay, so looks like so far it's working, not like yeah, so didn't really break anything, so that's good to see. um, okay, so in the user screen, let's come here and see what it actually was supposed to look like. We are to do two things here. First is our text field, which is the search, and second is this list of cards. As I mentioned, we already did develop a card last time, so we're just going to try to use that and see how we can create a list. So one important thing about this is that when we're creating um, this all these users, we want all of this to be very scrollable. So let's try to do that. First of all, inside a container, we would want to create a column, since we need a text field, and let's put it here. Okay, so what exactly is the text field called? Let's go and search that up. No, that search is okay, it's working. Somehow it's working now. Perfect. So let's see this. And yeah, we can easily see that this is how you would have a basic text field made. So let's just take this and let's put it here. So we have given, sorry, unfortunately, one very basic thing you do every time you're creating a container or a component and you want to put children inside of it, we always remember the children field. And then inside of it, we will put our first component. This is again a const of a widget. So there you go. Probably don't need this const here. And yeah, so we don't need to obscure text actually, so we can remove that. And the label here is going to be search, search by language or username. So that is how we will build our query to search and filter using both language name as well as user's name. So border, we actually don't want a border. What we do need here is some way where we can control the inputs that are being put in the text field. So what we need here is what we call a controller. So let's make here a controller field. So let's see a little bit about it. Here we can see text editing controller. That is exactly what we will try to put there. So this is the documentation for it. And as you can see, to just call to create a controller, all you need to do is we create this final variable, and then we put it here. So this is a search controller, so we can change the name here to have search controller, and this will create a text editing controller for us. And then what we do is we just tell this text field that, okay, this specific controller is controlling your value. So let's see, controller, and there's a search controller. Seems like it missed something. Try removing. Okay, yeah, perfect. So, and okay, more errors. Got it here, and okay, so we have a column with a text field. Now the next thing that we need is a list. So for there to be a list, we need some sort of scroll view. So first let's create a okay, so let's create a list view. Okay, let's come back here and let's search for list views. And we want we're using the list view class directly because the list view is scrollable by default. So it should make sure that all the entries that we have are scrollable. So let's come here And the basic way would be we just say list view, and then we give it the children, which are going to be some number of okay. Um, I see the error now. Yeah, why this was okay. Because there are so many brackets, it's easy to get confused exactly where it's ending. So this is where the text field is entering, and after this, we're supposed to put our other children. So list view, we'll give it a padding of edge insets. What did it say here? All and that's not all and 8. So this is going to give a basic padding. So anytime we do padding or margins in Flutter, we have to use edge insets to give. And right now we're using all, but we could also specifically go ahead and define different padding values for left, right, and center. Maybe 8 might be too much. Let's switch it to 4. And then for the children, what we wanted to do now is actually use this card that we have, and let's make a list of dummy data and then try to use that to create the cards and a list of cards. So if we were not to do that, then it would be simple and you would just go ahead and add user cards here like you would add text. But again, like we mentioned, that's not what we want. So let's go ahead and create something like that. Okay, so how we would do this is let's create first an array which is going to contain all the users, and this would be a list, and there are 3 things that every user requires. Let's go and check exactly what they were. So it's name, image, URL, and languages. These are the 3 things that any user profile is going to need from us, at least to display in the cards. Okay, so we were here. No, we were not. We didn't use this data. Okay, so name. Then we have languages. Okay. And then we have the image URL, and yeah. Okay, this is all right. We probably might have to create another class to nope. Okay. Let's put this on hold for just a second, and let's see lists of objects in Flutter and how that happens. Okay. So yep, let's see if it allows you to build a list of data basically of different kind or not. Okay, so here we have this, and in this example what it's doing is actually it's creating the widget instead of any data structure. So I am guessing that right now data source into a list of widgets, it seems like items. Yes. No, it does not seem possible the way we're thinking about it. So it's all right. Okay. Maybe let's come back and let's use some of the random generators that they have used here to just give ourselves some dummy data to get started at least. So here we can create our items and we can just use this. Okay. So here, and what we can see here is a list of list items, and we're generating 1,000 of them, which we don't need to. We can just use like 20. And every time it actually needs to be the same thing. So it goes like this, and then what we want it to return is a user profile card which gets certain values. So it's going to be name and name this or user X. Yes. Okay. Why does it not recognize list item? Okay, because list item is something that they created over here. Okay, got it. All right. So this is a lot of work for our dummy stuff, which we actually have to duplicate again when we do Firestore. So it might not be the best idea to do a complex duplication of work here. So maybe we'll get rid of this, and what we will do instead is we'll just come back and we'll put our profile cards here like we had done before. And later on, when we have connected this with our actual database and we're using a real source to build this stuff, then we can then just duplicate, we can just remove this and replace it with our Listview Builder. Yes, so here we put like a user profile card, and like I said, all the stuff here, let's give it like a fake name and an image URL that we can find from somewhere on the internet. And then let's give it the languages. Let's say user only knows English. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so we need a nice image URL. So let's pick it up from somewhere. Let's see. Let's go for a user avatar, and you can just pick something from the images. Just going to look a bit like a user. All right, let's pick this user. We can just take the copy link address and we put it here. Perfect. So now we can just copy and paste this profile card about these many times. John Doe, it's going to be like a whole family. Jack Doe, Jill Doe. Yep, I'm out of names already. Kate Doe, Jim Doe. Why am I thinking of names with J? No clue. But yeah, that's two. Okay, it's getting a little bit too much. All right, so we do this and we can switch up the languages and English and Spanish and go with that here. Okay, so yes, just a bunch of dummy data stuff here and there, and let's reload and see how our Flutter app looks like. There's an exception here, and that usually scrolling gives you tons of exceptions, so not completely unexpected. Okay, so we can see here that stuff here is a little bit misaligned. So first thing that we can see is, okay, let's try to do this. If I comment out the list view, let's just make sure that the text box was actually in the right place to begin with. So here we can see that it's always trying to center line itself, and column was not the right choice here. It should actually be a row, because no, now I'm confused. We're actually putting it in a column. No, yeah. Okay, yeah, because this is a column and we're putting stacking items there. And then we say the main axis alignment, it should be main axis alignment at start, which would ensure that our text box goes to the top. So reload, and okay, so this is happening because the container itself has been aligned in the way that it always stays in the center, and container doesn't have something like a main axis alignment. So what we need to do is, if we come back to the home page, which is where you can see that the whole column has been wrapped inside a center thing. And then again, this column has been given a center alignment. So let's try to remove this and see where our thing goes. Else we'll just remove the center. Okay, yeah, it's come back here, and we see that there's definitely room for improvement there, because we could very clearly use some padding there. So padding add insets dot all, and we give it a padding of 8. Here 8 would suffice. All right. Never forget to reload every time. Yep. All right. So we've come here, and yeah, we can see like there's a bit of padding and there's a search bar. And now let's bring back our list view, which we know it's going to break, but it's okay. we will try to figure out why it's breaking and solve that. Okay, render box was not laid out. So let's look at a good example of how list views should be used um, within, say, an element or a component, where, because so with Flutter what usually happens is there are some rules about which element should go inside which element and which should stay away from it, and we'll try to navigate those difficulties here and see which would be like the best way of going about this. So this is the list view builder that I was talking about. It builds items based on certain things that we might have. So okay, this is sort of what we're looking for. Let's actually try to use this instead. So we create a user profile card that we have here, and okay, so let's say that if we only make the names unique right now, nothing else, so we could use a list of string and usernames, and then we could just go ahead and take all our names that we had and blah blah blah. We'll fill them out later. So we go with those, and then we go ahead with the list view builder. So the way the list view builder would work is we can actually go ahead and remove this, and we say list view dot builder, and now we put in the item builder here, which is the main part. So what is it basically going to build? So we take the build context, which is the context, and the entry and the index. And now let's see what it should. No, okay. Yep. Let's see what it should return. So what it should return is again a user profile card, and the name is the only thing that we were keeping unique. So the name is going to be usernames, and then here we will put index. And for the image URL, we already have something. Okay, this is not, we copied it. Copy link address, and we put it here. And then from there we go to the languages, which unfortunately right now are going to remain constant. So let's say everybody on our platform only knows English. So there goes that, and we can probably come back here and see what's happening. Okay, so we will always obviously return a user profile card, and there we go. But this is still not going to solve the issue of the overflow that we were facing, and we will get into it in just a minute why that happens. Okay, but we have more errors to fix before we can go ahead with that. Line 28, it expected it to obviously we need to end this with a semicolon. So the very bad thing about JavaScript is that it can ruin your habit of putting like semicolons, because you get so used to having optional semicolons that you forget terminals were compulsory once upon a time. Okay, so okay, render box was not laid out is what it's saying, and we're basically exceeding a boundary that was there. So let's try to search for this error and see why this happens. Again, mostly always associated with the list view. So let's check a way people do use it. So way to use it is we can use expanded, which is the component which what it does is it limits the horizontal size in a way. Yeah, okay. So let's try to wrap it around an expanded widget. So propose you this code to inform. Okay, so we can give it hopefully something. Let's see if this can maybe work. So you can just wrap it with the okay. wrap it with widget. Maybe it shouldn't wrap it with expanded, which is why I didn't give it the option. And maybe we can wrap this with expanded. Okay, no. So then we can try to just wrap with widget, and here we do expand. Sorry, expanded, and expanded has a child. Let's see if this suited. No, seems like did some soothing, but it took away our code. So we might want to listen to the advice that this person here is giving us, and yeah, see if that works for us. So what they're saying is we should be wrapping it twice. So there's a child here, the list view. We wait for the yellow box. That's actually that tooltip thing that comes up is so helpful because it lets you say make this a child of another unit, or if you wanted to remove this expand, it could just let you do it all automatically through just clicking on it. And it's super useful for like indentation and things like that. So let's see, list view, child, where did our very helpful button go? Okay, seems like we'll have to do the work ourselves. It's okay, we can do the work. So let's make a sized box, and this, and we wrap our list view builder around it, and we say that this is the child, obviously. Okay, so now this is that. Now we see that this is the reason why we wanted the editor to do it for us, because then it would take care of all the indentations. And we give it a specific height, which is what it was missing, and we want to give it the height of 600. Maybe that's a bit too much, too little. We will see. Okay, maybe let's start with 300 first and then go from there. So now we perform reload, and we are here on users, but it seems like nothing's happening. So we can go again, increase the height. We are still seeing an exception, which explains why there's an error. Let's try to go to the end here as well. Render flex children have non-zero flex, but incoming height constraints are unbounded. So we figured that out, which is exactly why we gave it a height constraint. Okay, let's come back here, perform reload. This, okay, render padding, means pane, needs completion. Okay, so render box was not layout. This problem still exists. So let's look at why this is happening. Okay, so let's look at other articles that we can read. This looks like a more larger article. Maybe this will help it go. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, I hope you will finish your project and learn more of Flutter. Wishing you all the best for that part. Okay, so now let's look at it and see what we're doing wrong here. So, yes, entire left space in column. So have I been thinking about column in the wrong way? Is the root of all my problems that it should be a row, but I'm thinking that it needs to be a column? What do you folks think? Do you think it should be a row? Why is my geometry getting super confused at this point? Let's try to see. Let's add a text, and yes, this will tell us exactly what we're probably doing wrong. So right now I have a row, and if I reload it and I put it here, this problem exists not because of our Listview Builder, but because of something entirely else at this point, which is a rather strange thing because we don't really have anything else that can cause this problem. Please don't say it's been this const all along. No, that is certainly not the issue. So is it saying that I can just take one element here? Let's check that out. So suddenly our code has gone from working perfectly fine to not working at all. Is that what this has been about? Okay. Okay, thank God. We at least have that back. So maybe I was not so wrong after about the columns after all. And yes, we can see that the columns is the way to go. Brava. Yay. Okay, so we can bring back our expanded, who is the root cause of all our problems, and see how we could make it work. Let's actually try to be very specific, and let's say list view inside column. Okay. Turns out this is a problem that multiple people face, so we're in good hands. Okay, so that is exactly what we're doing. Let's try to remove this widget, and we see how easy that was when you use like the yellow tip box. Life was so much harder without it. Okay, so it looks like there's an error, but it's not the same error. So maybe we can try to read out. Okay. Uh, okay. Interesting. A very different error. The error causing widgets are here. They are users. Line 18 is where is the widgets causing error. Could that be because our column is inside a container and do we not need a container at all? We can try to remove it and see where that takes us. Not anywhere closer to our solution, so definitely not the answer. Let's look again. Where could the problems be arising from? Yeah, render. Okay, so we're back to the render box, not laid out problem. Render padding. Okay. Interesting. Remove unnecessary container. We shall do that. Okay. All right, so let's just go back here and let's tell it to remove again. And now let's do our reload. Precisely, it's not laid out. Column widget expanded. Um, So, okay, yes, it does. A height constraint to your horizontal list. Our list indeed is horizontal. No, our list is vertical. So, wait. Here, we don't really need to tell it that it's vertical because it's usually always vertical. If it's vertical, it might mean that it needs a width, but expanded can't really have a width. So, which is why we use a container to give it a width. So let's try to wrap it in a container. Yes, and let's give it a width, which is, let's say 200. And okay, it says let's use sized box for white space. Okay, that's fair. Let's use sized box. And with the width, we give it 200 first to begin with and hope that at least gets us some close to rendering, but it does not. Interesting error here. Okay, sized box does not really help. Okay. So we have a column, and this is okay. Maybe we're looking at a horizontal-ish thing. This is not helpful at all. Okay. Let's see. There are apparently 3 different ways of doing this. So list view. Okay. So if we now know that we directly cannot add a list inside a column. Yes, we get that. So the first way is to they recommend using expanded. Of course, that's precisely what we would love to do as well. Okay. So let us see one thing. If we are able to, at any point of time, get this working without the text field. And then we would know that it's like the multiple children that's causing a problem rather than actually it's not. It's just getting this to display is a challenge here. Anybody has any ideas or thoughts about why that might be happening? Anything that's missing my eye here? Let's eliminate any other sources of errors that we can have possibly. Go to the very end. Nope. That is not what's causing the error. Glad to know that. Did not want that to be a bottleneck there. Okay, so here we go. All of this is not an issue. We should be able to have okay, so let's take our error and let's try to search it in reference of our Listview Builder. And okay. Okay, this looks like maybe it might be able to solve our problem. So many ads. Should definitely have an ad blocker here. Okay, render box was not laid out. Yes, that's our problem. Okay, so yes, everybody expects us to use expanded, and we have been doing exactly that. And none of this seems to have actually worked for us, but let's try it one more time. Let's remove expanded. So first let's bring back our text fields, and that's completely innocent. And then let's remove this widget and let's wrap this with a sized box, and we'll give it a height to very strictly say only 200. And let's see. Invalid image data. That's good to see. So we have our list. We only have an invalid image data. Something we can work with for sure. Okay, let's look at another image so that we can use it for our thing here. Oh, this was an SVG. Did not notice that. All right. Hope this is not an SVG. And copy link address. Oh, wait. Copy. When we say copy link address, does it copy the image? No, it does not. Copy image address, and that would do it. Yes. So copy image address it is, and now that's a long. Okay, let's go. And there we go. just replace it with the image URL. And we have the languages. And now if we refresh it, okay, so now let's increase the height a little bit. And because we can still see this red block here, which is sort of blocking it from growing further. So let's see what that's about. Not an inclusive range. What is not in the inclusive range? Okay. Interesting turn of events here. We have something that's not in range, and I unfortunately don't recall specifying a range anywhere. So let's refresh us here, and we are still very much what we might want to check is if there was any height restrictions given to our body. Doesn't seem to be the case. So weird. That's a that's a weird error. Okay. Let's again try searching it up, because what are we if we not debuggers? Okay, so let's take this. Usually they come up close to whatever we're facing. So yeah, not in range 0. Okay, so let's see. Can do that. No problems, no problems. It shouldn't have been necessary though, but so our item count is going to be usernames dot length. Okay, so now let's reload, and voila, finally we have something here. Let's put a bit of a this time we can give it padding or something, and a height here of something greater would be nicer. Now let's try to give it more names and see how big this list can go. Okay, and we can also then test the scrolling and everything of that sort. Usernames.length, was it? Yes. Okay, this list, okay, the height is surely a problem. Very, very strange. Can I use expanded here and get by? Do we still have that error that we were facing before? Yes, unfortunately, looks like we cannot use height because height is not being used anywhere. So it doesn't have a sense of how much that's going to be. Nope. Okay, wait. Height. Oh, columns don't have heights. Yeah, so we basically don't have any component as such which has a height, which is why expanded doesn't really help us much. Okay. So we can do that and reload it. So what clearly happens is, okay, so what we're clearly seeing here is that it does not update the usernames that we put in the fast reload. So what I might have to do is I might have to like close this and start it again. Meanwhile, here is that VS Code that I'm using. It is not actually. So Flutter development is super more like it's so much more convenient when you do it on Android Studio. So that is what I'm using. no matter how much I love using VS Code, it's just more convenient to do this whole thing on Android Studio because of how much it supports Flutter. You know, so yeah, there we have that, and we might want to open the app again. Still running it. Okay, cool. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what we would be doing next. So now we have a list. We're waiting. Okay. Yes. So we now have a search bar. We have a list that we can render from like a list of names, and later we'll render it from the database. We have a nav bar here. So what we can go ahead and build is maybe the search functionality itself. Like when we start typing, it should start clearing out the list that we have. So yeah, we can do that. And maybe we can make this not final. So let's just make it here. Since we would be updating our usernames list when we run the query. Okay, and here we go. We can see, but here again, we see that it's only we can see the height of this scrolling, and we certainly want it to be bigger. So okay, let's for now let's just make it 700. There are actually ways where you can calculate and use like device height to then display your component's height. So it definitely overflowed. See, you can prevent this if you're actually coding it the right way. But I just saw that we're past 1 hour of the stream, and I have 1 more hour to finish a lot of stuff. So we're going to take a few shortcuts here and there. Um, since my sincerest apologies for that. Um, yeah, I can't help it much. Please let me pad a little bit. If you will not, we have another way. This is a very sort of cheapish way of doing stuff that people actually can get by doing in Flutter. Is you can, if you want to like create some space which you always want to be sort of constant, but you don't want to add extra margins and stuff to your components, you can just add another sized box and it'll mostly take care of it. So there's that, and yes, okay, so now it doesn't overflow. It sort of goes pretty long till like the end of the component, and there is some space that we see from the text there, and we can probably come back and add these properties of like padding. Please tell me there is padding in columns. Turns out there might not be a padding in column. How interesting. Okay, so since we can't pad it there, we might say nope, there is no scope for us to pad it, this text field. Okay, let's search why that is. Where is our we can actually, you know what, we can come back to the original structure, which was indeed a very nice structure, where we come here. Okay, come on, don't yes, and we wrap it with a container. That's what was here before, and it won't be useless if it has paddings. So edge insets, and we give it we always give a double value, so there is that, and there we go. And here when we refresh it and we come back to it, we can see we have a well padded list right here for us. Okay. Yes. And Android Studio has this virtual phone sim. Yes, it does. So, but as you know, that Mac only provides an iPhone simulator on Macs, so you can't use it outside of a Mac environment. But Android Studio does give you a virtual device manager, which lets you add a lot of devices to it. So you can just access it from here. Here. It's the Android Virtual Device Manager. So you can create, you can open an Android device also, or if you're using a Mac OS, you can create like a iOS simulator as well. Okay, So yes, like I mentioned, we have all of this stuff. So what's up next? Up next we can build a search query actually. So what happens when somebody tries to search? So here we have a controller. We can also have something like on changed, and then we can call our search function. So let's create a dummy search function here real quick. On search, and here we yes, we just call on search for us. And yeah, why is there an error? So yeah, why does it need to use a value if it's unchanged? Some things about this language strike me as very weird, but this is the good alternative for quick prototyping, so we shall bear with it. So its values can't be used. Okay, so it's saying we can't use it because it returns void. What if it didn't have a return type? What would it say? Works. Cool. It's just going to infer the return type. So we have our search controller, and we just say we basically want to do some sort of filtering here that can just say that we sort of want to check if a part of the query that we have exists in the code that's going to come up next. So what we can do, let's see what we can do. We need to create like a quick search query, but we also wanted to filter how usernames are being displayed. So we essentially will go ahead and filter the usernames array. So if okay, let's create a list which is called filtered. And actually what we can do is filtered is equal to yeah, it's an empty thing. And what we will do is for int this, and we will then and then we would say if usernames I dot, if it contains a pattern which is our search query, so we will say search controller dot text. If it contains that, why is this giving me? Oh, sorry. Int I. If it contains this, then what we do is we take filtered dot push. No, wait. Filter dot add, and then we give it usernames I. Yep, that is pretty much it. And this should help us filter. Is there an error here? Okay. Terminals. Okay. And this should basically help us create like a filtered array. Now what needs to change here is if so we basically need a conditioning that says that if the search controller is empty, search controller dot text is equal to is null, then you go ahead and take the empty length, and if it's not, then you go and take the filtered dot length. And the same thing goes here. Okay, maybe it should be 2. Okay, so we just do 2, and we do the same thing here. So if it's indeed empty, then you take usernames. If it's not, then you take filtered index. Okay, so this should technically work logic wise. Of course there are build errors. How can we build this app without there being any build errors? State.build is defined here. Okay, this is probably parenthesis mistake. Yep. Okay, so now we try and it says it's worked. So let's try to start typing stuff. But we don't see any effect taking place into our list, which means that we made this one mistake of not calling. So if we don't call set state, it won't really change what's happening. So we'll need to create like a new list first. Sorry, list of string and new list. And we first add everything to the new list. Then once we're done, we call set state, and then we say that filtered actually needs to be new list. And hopefully this should render the right. Okay. Bravo. And does it happen every time you do it? It does not. Okay, so let's try to assess why that's happening. Maybe it's not the on change. Okay, how can we use it with the database? Can you be a little bit more specific? Like, what do you mean by it? Do you mean the app, or do you mean a specific function? What do we mean by it? Some context here would be helpful. I'll talk about Firebase in a minute. I'll try to talk about Firebase in a minute, since we have other errors looming up here that we do want to fix. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. When we're typing just the name, it's not surely reloading every time. Okay, so maybe this is the wrong. No, it has to be unchanged. Okay. All right. What could we do here? Let's see. Yes, and yeah. Okay, just a second. So there are articles suggesting that when we are changing the query, we completely change the list, but I don't think that makes a difference. So not completely sure how much I agree with them writing this. But let's see if there's any other things that we might have missed. Okay. Controller dot text, and this is every time there's a change. Nope, I don't see anything rather peculiar about this. And interesting what's happening right here with our code. So if we do a search, if we did a reload, it would load it again. Okay, so it's not happening. Not happening with the state change, which is at the strange, since we do call a set state with the change in state. So let's go and see. Okay, so this is not what we need, is it? Nope. We are done with user avatars, and we can close a little bit of useless things here. Okay. All right. So sorry, my system has slowed down considerably right now. Not sure why that's happening. Maybe it's all the quick reloads and the streaming along with it that's maybe causing this problem. Let's hope not. Let's hope nothing breaks. Okay. I'm going to look for some helpful article that's going to make it nice and easy for us to do this. Okay. So we create a text field. On change, we put the search operation. Yes. Okay. Let's maybe try to do this. And text. Is that really going to change anything? Okay. I would assume it to be one and the same thing, given we do have a controller with it. Yes. And this contains, and we might want to put this all in lowercase so that it's just easier to see that. We put this to lowercase as well, so we can easily query everything. Yeah. And then okay, let's put this on search. Won't still take. That is rather interesting. Usually most functions are void and they do work perfectly well like they should. So it seems strange to me that this would happen. Okay. Blah, blah, blah here. And yeah, we create a Listview Builder with specific lists, which can be totally defined here. But if not, we can separate it at the child level as well. Okay, here, and then here again, we make a copy of this. Okay. So, and here we take filter.length. And again, here, let's stay the usernames. And I think this is a very unclean way of doing this. It's duplicating code for no reason. But if it has worked for other people, maybe it'll work for us. On search, it's still crying about on search. Okay, what's the issue here? I see. It requires arguments, but we didn't give it any because we were under the impression that it would sort of read it on its own. And okay, honestly, this particular thing has not made sense. So we'll go back to our search controller and we'll use that text. Yes. Very interesting how any of this does not work. Cool. Okay. We can still try to figure this out. Let's look at a decent example of search bars in Flutter. And this looks rather reliable. So let's take a quick read. So we have this search button. Yeah. Nope, not what we need. We have a text field. Yes, that's always been there. Okay. No, definitely not what we wanted. Okay, search filtering in Flutter. Yes, that's sort of what we want. Because there needs to be, yes, okay, so many cookies today. Yes, they are trying to do what we're trying to do. Isn't this what like development is all about? Finding other people who are trying to do sort of what you're trying to do and then trying to make it work. Yeah. So let's see if they had a search here. Found users, run filter, entered keyword. So then they have a text field. They have, okay, so either you use a controller or you directly use the value here. I don't think it makes a difference that way. Results and this. And to refresh the UI, we take found users and we give that to the result. Basically word to word what we're doing. So it makes it hard to see what is not going as per the requirements here. Interesting. Let's check if we can log it somewhere. I think that they have a log with Flutter 2. They should, I mean, logging from your application. Yes, developer.log. We will need this to see where the error lies. Okay, so here, and we can do a developer.log. Perfect. So log newest. Yep. No. Can we do that? Looks like we probably can. And now my system has finally frozen up. I think it's telling me that it can't stream and code anymore. Okay, so we'll keep an eye out for the logs and see if it gets in here. Okay. Nope, we don't see a log in here yet. So maybe so far, what if like the function is only not getting called? Okay, I'll probably try this and just see if this is getting printed. Port library.io. Yes, we've done that. And now let's reload. Let's see where things are at. So we don't see logs here on the terminal. So I wonder where the supposed logs go. Maybe we have wait, debugging. No, that's finishing it. Sorry about that. Okay. So we have to check logging with an Ios emulator because I know it does it with Android in the kernel, but not sure where it does it here. Flutter logging iOS. Yep. Let's see if we can use logging. Okay, the computer is slowing down. I'm going to try to take it a little slower so that it doesn't just die on me in the middle of the stream. All right, so logging and status log, please. No, not status log. This should be the one to log on your console. So that would be the most convenient of all to use. Okay. Yeah. Logging in console. Sometimes you forget like the most basic things about using a particular framework. Okay. Nope. This is the older one. Now we're coming there. No. Developer dot log. Hope this is it. Sort function, and then you want to check your and you want to say new list is new list. And say something like new list is, well, what are the JSON objects for? Yeah. Never mind. If I can just say new list here, that'd be good enough for me. It's not good enough for it. So, and we wanted to definitely go here. Oh, that's exactly what we were doing before, and it did not log. Why am I so dense? I did not notice this before. Okay, so clearly developer.log is not working, but supposedly why is that? Maybe try to set up breakpoints. But debuggers are heavy to run. Okay, so unfortunately looks like I might have to give this up right now and move to other screens, because while search is cool, what we're trying to just get here is design all our screens first before we do anything else. So yep, let's maybe focus on that. So the screen that I wanted to finish today was also the screen that we have where we create a profile, in the sense that we pick the languages that we do know and the languages that we want to learn. So yeah, let's try to build this screen. Yes. So let's come here and let's come back to, okay. So one component that we'll be using here quite a bit, as we can see, is this alert box that we have, and it's going to be the same for languages you know and languages you want to learn. So since we're using it twice, let's just make one widget for it. Okay, so here in the component, let's create a new file, and we'll say pick add language alert. Sorry, language. Yes. And again, right now we're keeping all of them to be stateful widgets. So add language alert box. So we keep it that. Again, our package imports, maybe these should be auto as well. And yeah, so now what we want to put here is like an alert dialog. And inside this alert dialog, what we want to put, actually we might not need this container at all. Yeah. So what we need to put here are children. And it's not we can just take a child. Nope. It can only take a child, unfortunately. Oh, wait. Can't take any of those. Then what does it do? It takes a widget. No, it takes, that's a title. And then here we can see all the stuff that we can do and cannot do, right? So we see a widget just once, and then we see content. Content can be a widget. And here, since we need two things, as we can see here, we need two drop-down lists, basically. So actually, we can come to that later. First, let's just see that it works. And we can just say add language or something. And let's just take a look at how our alert dialog is actually looking. And what we now need to do is we create a screen that's, we call it, it's technically a user profile. Okay. And my naming is not the best. Okay, so we do that. And we, yes, okay. Oh, okay, perfect. So here we again have child, and now we create a column. Here we know that the here we can see that everything is sort of needs to be centered. The text can start in the, yeah, everything needs to be centered. So what we can do is, okay, please tell me you have alignments. Nope. Even if you don't, your child does. So main axis alignment is main axis alignment dot center. And similarly, we have cross axis alignment, which is going to be cross axis alignment dot center too. So there we have our two alignments. And what we need now is to add all these texts that we have. So we create children, and here we say hi, and plus we create this user, and let's assume that it's coming from here, so that it's a final string username. And no, let's say we take just the first name, and here we say required first name, and here we go first name to first name. Did I get this right? No. Oh, we don't need to add anything here. It's just going to do it all on its own. Start first. Nope. We did this yesterday with the user profile card. Let's take a look at that. Oh, required this dot name. Okay. And why are you not happy? Okay, everybody's happy now. So hi, first name, and there we go. Then we want another text to come up here, which says, tell us more about your language learning journey. And okay, so interesting thing here is that we need to now change the decorations of the text. So we might want to use other properties that we haven't used so far. Actually, we can't make the whole thing constant because only this is constant. Yes. So now here we also need to add text decorations so we can see that we can put this under data. Right. Just a second. Looks like doesn't want us to. No, this is not key. Okay, anyway, let's have the text. We need a decoration. So coming here, if we go to a text field, sorry, we need the API documentation. So yep, here. So now here if we put text and need it from the widgets, not Dart. Okay. So text and we view the widgets here. And let's see. So we can add some styling here, and this is exactly what we need to just need to bold it a little bit. So yeah, we can just go ahead and add this line, and that should be good. Okay, so we have this, we've covered this too, and then we need the last line, which is, now we go with which languages are you familiar with? Now, the interesting thing is that here we need a floating action button, which can, so instead of this big rectangular thing, we can just have a circular add button there, which lets users add, or we can also go with a proper button, but that might not be needed if I think about it. So we can convert this into a scaffold, then give it a floating action button, or I can just add a floating action button here. So label is going to be, obviously it's a text, add language. Maybe it's going to tell me that text is not needed. No, it's never going to tell me that. And when we click on pressed, I want to create a function here. So maybe we can also have the editor do that for us. So create a getter on pressed. Nope, it's not a getter. On pressed is basically a function that we create here. Hopefully we can keep it wide. Yes, we can keep it wide. Perfect. So we have all of this here. And now what we want to do is when we press, we want the dialog box to appear, right? So let's look at, okay, no. Let's look at how alert dialog boxes work. Yep. Alert. Okay, alert from alert. Nope. Yes, exactly what we're looking for. And so we have actions, blah, blah. And yes, we need something like show alert. Okay, so here we can see that we can add an alert button. We can just call a function and it's going to build, we can then create like a building context function there. So yeah, let's just do that. Create dialog and then you build the dialog. Okay. Pretty sure since we have done that, it should be possible for us to just return. Okay, then it does a show dialog. Interesting. All right. Okay. So a little bit change in how things are happening here. We're actually passing down our current context and building onto it. So yeah. So what we need here is a little bit more sophisticated. Yes. So let's take this and let's make it a show add language dialog. And inside of it, we are passing it a build context here. So what will happen on pressed is that we're calling show language, show add language dialog. And inside of it, we're passing it the context that we have here from our widget. So that's what we're doing. We should probably remove the void since the new version seems to not like void. Yes. And now we can come and see the next steps here. So we have created, now what it wants us to do is create this, okay. Let me just cross check again exactly what's happening here since I don't like the sound of this actually. And we might want to look at another article. Yes, trust this a lot more. Okay, so we create this, and then we have an alert dialog like we created. Yeah, but okay, so interestingly, it makes use of a similar concept like the one we saw before. But all right, so we pass it everything, but the builder is the one that we can technically use from what we've coded right now. So let's see. This is our function, show dialog. And the only thing I need to do is just take the alert dialog that we have right now, which is here. I know, good thing it doesn't do anything, and we can just remove this build from it. Yes, so we, yeah, and then it technically doesn't need to be, sorry, just remove the override as well. It doesn't need to be a proper, okay, no, so not what we want to happen. Okay, let's take the easier road right now, and let's come back here. And when it says, sorry, we are stuck in the air. Yes. Okay. So we look at this and it's on pressed. We have our context and let's start building it. So we take the, we do a return, which is, okay, and Yep. Let's take a simple dialog that they do have right now and just close this here. And do we okay, so we have this and we have a context, but we're not actually building it here right now. There needs to be a way through which we can build this. So show dialog is actually this. So we have created a future. If for people who are already aware, future is like a it's like a promise. If people are aware with JavaScript here, so yeah, that's kind of the stuff that's getting used to edit this dialog. But I guess we could do that. Okay, so let's take a bit of inspiration from this code. Let's copy it right here, and yeah, let's put it here. So we have technically yep, okay, sorry, here and I'm wondering if there is a nicer way of creating this dialog box than the one we saw right now. Okay, so we okay. So it does run on futures, and it's basically it's working around the concept that the future is going to get completed once somebody taps out of the dialogue, and which is a fair thing for it to happen. So yeah, we could probably make use of this. So let's look at how it's being used in like a normal project. Yeah, and technically we don't want just like a simple dialogue. This is the dialogue which has actions, and that's sort of what we want to, because we want there to be an action which is adding a language to a list. So we want to make sure that we use a dialog box which has an action. Okay, so all right, let's try to use this. Perfect. So what is happening is we copy it, and where we're putting it is the interesting part. We're putting it directly yeah, here. So let's do this. Pressed and we paste it. Nope, it wasn't the best paste ever. Okay, so this does not go about like this. Okay, and we have to just take this and we put it here. No, why is it so? Yeah, right. We have show dialog, and we can just call it here. All right. So let's see if this very basic thing would work. So here we can see that there's a future. What we're returning is basically an alert dialog, and we're first building it through the context that was passed to it. Then we've made it a single child scroll view. We can remove that later on if needed. And yeah, so okay, my fault. We still haven't called this anywhere. And what we can do for now is, since that is the way things are going to be ordered, when we go to main, our home screen, actually, we can currently put it away as not the home page. But I'm just going to wait for a second for it to uh, load process. Okay, perfect. And here we call the user, what did we call our screen? User language. Okay. And the first name here, since, and now let's try to see it on the screen. Hygiene. Okay, so this has become, we will fix the styling for that. That's actually and we can see that it did work. So yeah, we have at least have a working dialog box. And let's come to our user languages and see why it's so out of. Okay, so let's come to the home. Yeah, so what we had previously was a proper scaffold which created an app and everything, and when we created this user screen, we didn't add a scaffolding to it. So that's actually important, and while we don't need an app bar, we'll skip that, but we'll just keep the body. So let's come here, um, and we wrap this whole thing in no, wrap with another widget. We call it scaffold, and this becomes the body. And now when we refresh it, nicer to the eye. Main axis alignment, we actually wanted to remain the start, and we want to give it some, okay, padding always happens in the container. We get that. All right. And yeah, let's refresh and see a bit of it. We maybe cannot skip an app bar, and no, okay, let's just try seeing what an empty app bar will result in. Okay, a lot nicer. We still don't have the padding quite right yet. It's not center like it should be. So let's just try to put the whole container with center. And yeah. Okay, good. Now we want the language to sort of remain down there. But okay, so now we already have a scaffolding. So what we can do is we can come here to the body, end of the body, and we can say floating action button. And we take this from here and we put it right here. So voila, and yes, so here we have a little bit of structure like we would want it to have, and now we can go ahead and create our alert box here. So we can just call it add languages, and just here add. And now the two widgets that we do want to add, these are the complex ones because we want them to be drop down. But it doesn't look like that we have enough time to implement a drop down here. So we'll definitely take a look at it later on, hopefully in our next stream, or maybe we can do something later on about it. But this is what we have for today, folks. We learned a little bit about creating dialog boxes. We did our lists. We did a bunch of stuff with queries, setting states. So it's been a fun session. I hope you all enjoyed it and hope you all are also developing something. Next time, we will try to create the list that we just created using data from Firebase. So what you will see, what the version of the app that you will see in the next stream will be a little bit fast forwarded. I'll probably implement a bunch of stuff beforehand. And what we'll try to do together tomorrow on stream would be a bunch of database stuff so that we know how to connect Firebase with our application and then how to use it further. We'll also maybe try to attempt authentication. Can't make any promises so far, but we'll definitely give it a go. Yeah, hope you all have a great time, and we have a very cool stream coming up very soon. Right now, in 4 minutes. So make sure to stay tuned in for it. It's going to start very soon. Going to give you all a small break before you join that session as well. So bye bye, and hope you all had a great time. Okay, sorry.